done with the surgeries and it's time to go back to the oncologist and see about chemo, I kind of held out hope for a while. I didn't know very much about it. Maybe I would be able to forego chemo. Maybe it wouldn't be necessary for me. But unfortunately, that wasn't the plan. I mean, at the time I didn't know it. Metaplastic breast cancer can be chemo resistant, but I certainly didn't know that at the time. And I think that they don't know which tumors are resistant to chemo and which ones aren't. And so it's just a matter of course. It's standard operating procedure. It's the protocol to get chemo. So the oncologist, advised me to get something called ACT, which is adriamycin, Cytoxan, and Taxol. I was going to get it in a dose-dense regimen, which means instead of getting a treatment every 3 weeks, I would be getting a treatment every 2 weeks. So you get basically the same amount, but in a shorter time frame. And so you get the adriamycin and the Cytoxan in one treatment, and you do that 4 times. Every 2 weeks, you do it for four cycles. And then 2 weeks after your last adriamycin and Cytoxan, you get 4 every 2 week doses of Taxol. They all bring with them different kinds of side effects. Adriamycin is known as the red devil. It's really toxic. I mean, immediately within 15 minutes, if you have to go to the bathroom, you'll have red urine. It goes right through you. You lose your hair. Nauseous and sick. Fatigue. The fatigue is really the worst part for me. I know a lot of women who have, mouth sores and their nails turn black and have additional problems. It's just different. It depends on who you are. Some people manage to work through the whole thing. Some people have it a lot harder. Just their bodies don't react as well. Personally, I think I did okay for a while. Initially, they give you these medicines they call antiemetics. They're pretty good these days. The antiemetics are help you with nausea, help you with allergic reactions to the medicine. They're steroids. I mean, you get a dose of your chemo, and the next thing you know, you're running around the house for a day or two until you kind of crash because the steroids they pumped you full of steroids, and you're just kind of wired. It's a cumulative thing. So when you first start getting chemo, it doesn't seem so bad. You feel sick for a few days. You feel okay for the first day or two while the antiemetics are still working. Then you crash and feel terrible for a couple days. Feel a little nauseous, but fortunately these antiemetics keep you from throwing up. So actually you don't really throw up. You kind of feel sick and nauseous, but you don't usually. Some people do a little, but not so much as they did before. And so it's cumulative. So what happens is that you feel okay, and then you feel better for 10 days or however long until your next dose. That's the first dose. And then the second dose, you feel a little wired after the second dose, and then you feel sick a little bit longer, maybe 5 days this time. And then you feel okay for a few days, and then you have to have another dose. And then the third dose, you feel sick just a little longer, maybe 7 days this time, maybe 8 days. And then you feel better for a day or two, or into the next dose. You always feel better just before you're going to get that next one, because you want to give up and you don't want to keep going. It's terrible. It's not fun. And yet that day you got to get your next treatment. You're usually just enough. You feel just good enough to go ahead and drag yourself in there and get it. So the cumulative effect takes hold. By the end of the whole thing, you pretty much feel terrible from one day to the next for weeks on end. But, you start out and you get that first dose and you're so wired in your head about how it's going to feel and what's going to happen to you and how bad it's going to be that you just really feel relieved that you can manage it. And so I had planned mine to be on Wednesdays, hoping that Thursday and Friday I could go to work and I'd feel okay, and that only by the weekend maybe I would feel sick. So I was trying to stay working. And so sure enough, by Friday night actually, I started feeling pretty sick and just yucky, just down, nauseous. I can't tell you about the nausea. I mean, you can describe it 100 ways. It's just that you don't feel good, and you don't really want to eat anything, and you just don't feel it. Your stomach is constantly feeling wrong, just wrong, and you just want to sleep a little bit. And frankly, sleeping makes the time pass, and you just hope to wake up feeling a little better. So I didn't feel great Friday night. Saturday I felt terrible. Sunday I started feeling a little better. And so by Monday I actually felt good enough to go to work. And in fact, I played softball that day. I was on a little team at work, and I went, and I felt great. And I was a little worried about my port, but I was able to swing the bat and everything, and I ran around, and I felt good, and I didn't worry about anything. And it was pretty good. I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to handle this. I felt sick for a few days, but I feel better now, and if it goes like this is going to be no problem. I'm going to be able to go to work every day, feel sick a couple weekends, and then, it'll all be done, and I'll forget about it. By the next week, the next dose, I had felt good for maybe 10 days even, and so I was ready for the next dose. That was going to be okay. I had worked, I think working's not bad if you can do it, because it can keep your mind other places, better places than the way that you can think when you're just sitting at home alone. So I went to work for that time, and I went back, and I was getting my second dose. This time, a friend, and I have to say, people came out of the woodworks to be nice to me. I mean, people just offered, can I drive you? Can I take you? Can I sit with you? It was really fantastic, and I feel very blessed to know so many fantastic people that really wanted to help me out. And so had a good friend. She said, I want to come with you. I'll take the afternoon off. I'll go with you to your treatment. And so we agreed, yeah, let's go. And so she drove me, and we went, and she brought her iPad along, and we played Monopoly on the iPad, and we chatted, and the time passed right by, and it was really nice for her to come, and I really appreciated it. Again, same thing happened. I didn't feel really sick until Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then I felt a little sick Monday even. It hung on a little longer, maybe even Tuesday. And so, like I said, it starts to build up for you. By the next time I needed another dose, I had kept working. I was still working, and I went to go have my dose, and I just thought, I was starting to feel a little more emotional about it, I think, and I knew I already didn't want my husband to come, because I just didn't like the feeling that I was dragging him into something uncomfortable and unhappy for him, and I already was pretty much unhappy about having to do it myself, and then my friend could come, and she was really fantastic, but frankly I didn't want to entertain or be entertained, and I didn't want to feel like I had to talk, and I started going, and I brought my earbuds and my iPod, and I just tried to sleep. I just wanted to go now, and I didn't want to think or do anything. I just wanted to sleep. And so now I went again, and I basically listened to my music, some music for a while, and slept. They give you a pillow and a blanket and everything. And I got up and went home. Basically the same thing. Didn't feel bad till Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now I'm starting to feel bad a little bit longer. It's starting to get to me. I might even felt bad the whole next week even, because this is about the time when I started thinking about taking disability. It really starts to wear you down, and I don't think I'd really say I had fatigue then, but it was coming close, and there's no way to describe to people who have never had fatigue exactly what it is. I mean, you're tired, that's just it, but it's tired times 10. It's a mental thing. It's not just physical, but it's definitely physical too. My hair started falling out after my second treatment. My husband and I sat down and shaved it. I've been giving him haircuts for years. He has real short haircuts, so we have clippers. And I have some photos of that, but I'm not so unhappy about losing my hair. At the time, losing my hair didn't feel like a big deal. I know it'll grow back. I'm just not a girly girl. I'm so worried about my hair, but I was just really tired, not feeling very well that day, and basically my hair's falling out just in clumps in the shower, and so it's time to just get rid of it so that I don't have to worry about it anymore and start, with the hats. I had a wig because I was planning on going to work, and I thought, well, maybe I'll wear a wig. I probably shouldn't have done that, because I never did wear the wig. I put it on a couple times, and it felt like a costume to me. I know, some women love their wigs and they, wear them and they look great. And in fact, it took me a while in the infusion center to understand that why I was the only bald person was because other people were wearing wigs. It didn't even occur to me some of them looked so good. And so I think that's good if it makes you feel confident and it makes you feel okay. But I just didn't. I felt kind of ridiculous. I felt like I was wearing a costume, and it wasn't really me. It wasn't like looking at me. And so I just soon wear the little hats or something. And I had some little hats some people had given me, and so I just started wearing those. So now we're getting down to the fourth treatment, and I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty worn down. Things were, busy at work. This is 2012. It's been tough for the newspaper industry. I've scrambled around keeping my job a couple different ways. And so just basically, let's just say that it's a lot to deal with at work. I already have enough to think about at work, and I started feeling like I just can't do both. I just can't think about myself. I can't think about work. It's not better at work. It's not better at home. It's not, I need some time. And so I went ahead and took some disability. And, once again, I'm blessed. I have disability to take, I thank God that I was able to take the time off, but it was there for me, and if there were ever a time to do it, I should do it now, and so I did. I took 8 weeks off. So I worked basically up to the fourth chemo treatment, but then after the fourth treatment, that Thursday, Friday, I worked, and then I took off. So I made it through AC working. But now Taxol was to come, and you hear a lot of things about Taxol too, being really hard. So I wasn't worried about that, and I was really starting to wear down. So now I'm off. So I've officially just taken off, and now I'm at home every day. I think by the time Taxol came around, the thing I remember most about Taxol is in the first dose they give you, they're so worried about you having an allergic reaction to the Taxol that they give you this huge dose of Benadryl. And they put it in there, and let's face it, the port goes straight to your jugular. It's a direct hit with this Benadryl, and it's a giant dose. So they, put that Benadryl in there, and your eyes are just rolling back in the back of your head in about a minute. And I'm like, am I supposed to be this tired? And they go, oh yeah. So, then they hooked me up to the Taxol. I think the Taxol took about 2.5 hours. I think Taxol was a little bit shorter than the A and the C together. But the Taxol was a little shorter. But then that just reiterated my need to sleep when I was there. I didn't bring people with me. Once again, you should do it any way that you feel comfortable doing it, and lots of people do it different ways. But I just wanted to be alone and sleep, and so I did. I think the only other time someone came with me was when my mother came to visit, and she came along with me, and we visited the time I was getting treatment, and that was some point during my Taxol treatment. And I have to say, toward the end, as you sort of felt bad every day, and you didn't ever sort of recover from the last treatment, I know for a fact that I was becoming a little depressed as well. I didn't care about anything. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to sleep a lot. What was scary, I think, to me was when I thought about it, I didn't care about anything, and I didn't know when I would ever care about anything again. I just didn't feel like myself. And I think that was a really scary few weeks when I just really was in the worst part of the regime.